Hey, welcome to Bluejay Banter. Live here at the Let Fly Sports Bar in downtown Omaha. Tim Kruger and Ross Ferrarini joining you today. We want to thank you for watching. Just make sure you hit that subscribe button. We had a great success over the weekend with our post-game show. A lot of new subscribers, so we want to keep that rolling. So hit that subscribe and like button. On the show today, you're going to see the interview later at the end of the show. I did it earlier today with Kirsten Berthal Booth, head volleyball coach at Creighton. Great discussion with her about her 600th win and just how that team is just absolutely rolling right now. They have played 9 matches in the Big East. They've lost 1 set.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
To say the least.
And like I was discussing with her, the game was on, an hour or two before the basketball game, so everybody's in here when they had it on. And she goes, yeah, we played lights out versus Seton Hall. It was wow. It was so impressive. So they're into the second half of the season. So you did not get a chance to see any of the exhibition game, correct?
No, I saw the final score, but that's that's it. I was we were occupied on the tables.
Ross was in Vegas over the weekend.
Yeah. We're getting back to neutral the first couple of days of the week here. But
Ross will be back to normal here in a couple of days.
But no, we were talking about we were down at the Venetian Sportsbook too. We stayed at the Venetian, and a lot of action, a lot of NBA, college football.
What are the
NFL,
odds on Creighton down there? You remember?
To win the national title?
Yeah.
I didn't look at any futures.
Okay.
I'm not. They're definitely at least. I think they're lower than 30-1. They're either 30-1 or lower than that. They probably got like the 12th best odds. I think because I looked at it a week or two ago.
Well, our fine producer Val and I were talking earlier, and we both kind of have the same opinion. Like I haven't gone to practice, and we're trying to put pieces together, and there's guys that are injured and coming off injuries and all this stuff. And I'm just like, geez, I don't know. We're playing Iowa State and Purdue. Talking two
how'd things go?
Top 15 in the country. And, we probably – Kalk only played a half. Had he played the whole – we were up 4 when they took Kalk out of the game. We probably would have beat Iowa State. And I think for the most part, the score probably was indicative of the game. Creighton was up 10 pretty much throughout the whole game. It was – Braden Smith was just unbelievable.
Is he Big Ten preseason player of the year? Yeah.
Yes.
He's a really good
player. He was on fire. And he was just, he was like, he wasn't hitting the rim. They were all going right through the net, man. And he, just coming off these screens on runners and fadeaways. And I was talking with a couple of coaches after the game, and they were like, yeah, he's good. Didn't think he was going to be that good.
Yeah.
But it was like one of those.
It sounds like Pop matched him pretty well.
Pop, again, a guy who's struggled like in practice shooting the basketball. Started off 4-4 from 3. He was, he's a gamer. It was simple to see after one game. He's a gamer. He's going to show up when the lights turn on.
Who was the starting 5?
We had Pop Isaacs and Ashworth, Jemiah Neal.
Okay.
Jason Green started.
Okay. It
was a little iffy because he had a little bit of a knee issue and so forth. And then, of course, Kalk. And then, interesting, you'll find this interesting. So then when they switched up the lineups, they went with Trout at the 4 and Mason at the 3.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of probably going to be the plan of attack, like having either those 2 guys or with Jason at the 4. Then it wasn't long before Jackson McAndrew hit the floor.
Okay. Jackson played well.
Dude's good.
And so what about the guard? The guards off the bench.
Then? So then when they go Mason to the 3, then they slide either Jemiah to the 2. Okay.
So what about a guy like Ty Davis? Did he play much?
Ty Davis played a substantial amount. Yeah, ran the point, and so then they were able to flop Pop or Ashworth, whoever was in the game, to the 2, and then go that route.
It's a Creighton show. I should know more about the specifics of the exhibition, but I just have not looked much.
My mind says Jemiah because I was even looking at the stat sheet yesterday again because I was surprised because I thought he was on the floor more than he was. He was only on the floor for 17 minutes. He had a real strong game. Didn't score, really. I think he had maybe 1 point, but he had 3 points. But he played really well.
Okay.
I rewatched the broadcast, and Nick just mentioned many times, like, wow, Jemiah Neal right there. He made a smart play, set everything up. Trout didn't shoot the ball like he has been in practice, but he was like 1 of 3. I think Mason was 1 of 3. Jason had an off night. Jason was our guest in our post game afterwards, and he said, he goes, I didn't have a very good game tonight. Just wasn't in the rhythm. Fred played substantial minutes, got into foul trouble, but
we've heard that before.
Was very aggressive. Had a thunderous one-hand dunk when he was fed the ball about 10 feet away from the basket.
Yeah. If we could get some more, because there was, for people that remember a couple of years ago, there were some really nice flashes Fred's freshman year here, and if we could get some of that back this year, and he's able to get out on the floor and stay on the floor for an extended period and not get in foul trouble and let Kalk breathe a little bit on the bench, that would be a huge help.
And we're talking, Purdue has 3 guys they rotate in and out of the center position. The 7'4" dude, the guy who started, can't think of his name right now. He got an immediate foul trouble. He was in foul trouble all night long. And then Kaufman Wren is he's a load down there.
Yeah, he's a big, strong kid.
He's got this beautiful little jump hook, and he was scoring over Kalk even.
Right.
It didn't matter. He went on Jason sometimes, on Fred. He was a load to handle down there. Where he got caught up was he got out, he faced up with Kalkbrenner, and then tried to take a 3, and then that was just playing right into our hands, But
and so how did Kalk play?
Kalk played very well. Just steady. It wasn't anything flashy. He was like 6 or 7 from the field. Hit a 3.
Okay.
His only 3
nice.
hits.
Good.
Played within himself. I would say we had more, and this isn't saying much because maybe 3, but I'm going to say we had more lobs at the basket than we, last year it seemed to go away for a long stretch, and we were able to get in. Again, Pop's really good at reading the defense. You can just see him out there, mind going, like, if this guy goes left, I'm going right, and then I'm laying it up.
Who played more of kind of the de facto point guard role, him or Steven?
Again, because we're so positionless, it's hard to say.
That is true,
what I mean?
But I'm, Steven, on dead balls where someone's going to bring the ball up the floor.
Steven pushed it, I would say, majority of the time. But man, Pop was pushing it too. You just watching 40 minutes of the game, you really couldn't say who was doing the most. Steven played great. Steven's, if you compare it to last year to now, just night and day. You know how he was really slow last year to get started and so forth.
But then he really came on kind of
totally. Oh, absolutely.
Season. Yeah.
But he's so comfortable out there game 1. And he's going against 2 great guards and Lawyer and Smith. So I thought we did a good job on Fletcher. And Colvin was a guy, he was kind of their 6th man last year, and I thought he was going to be a real factor. I thought we did a great job on him as well. So, Braden Smith got his. It would be interesting to see if we played them again in March, what kind of defensive strategy Mac would come up with. Or Mac would just say, look, he's going to get his, but we're not going to let anybody else go off, Thought Jemiah was good on the defensive end, too. A couple of times he got matched up with Smith, and I thought Smith kind of he went in once and Jemiah blocked a shot, or it might have been against Lawyer. I can't remember which one, but his length is going to cause some problems. On the defensive end,
length and athleticism. Absolutely.
So I just if let's just say the rankings are correct and this is number 14 in the country we played, we're got to be feeling pretty good right now.
Well, and then you add on top, and again, it's preseason rankings, which obviously don't always end up shaking out the way they're supposed to shake out. But then you throw in the Iowa State scrimmage where you had a couple of guys not really even play, and that thing goes down to the wire, and they're a top 8 team in the country, and it's
absolutely,
you certainly got to be relatively confident in going into the year that you've got some pieces that can really compete.
We're going to talk. We've got like 3 dumb basketball questions is sent in just in the last hour, which is awesome.
Okay.
So one of them concerns Ty, so we'll get into Ty a little bit later on. Right now, I want to talk about one of our new sponsors, Discount Window and Door. We want to thank them for jumping on board with us. When it comes to enhancing your home's beauty, comfort, and energy efficiency, trust the expertise of the best window company in town. That is Discount Window and Door of Omaha. They're committed to excellence and dedication to customer satisfaction. They've just offer a super wide range of products, and they will come to your house and design a plan specifically for you and make sure you get exactly the style and design that you need. So check them out. That's Discount Window and Door of Omaha. It's 402-884-8989. That's 402-884-8989. And if you want to see pictures of their work, check us back on our first post game, because we're going to have those up. I'm going to show you at my house what they recently did before and after pictures and how great it looks. Let's check in with the fall sports. Soccer got a 6-1. 6-1 in soccer. You don't see that every day. Win over lowly Butler. The Blue Jays can clinch with a loss or tie by Xavier in their final two contests, or a tie or win by the Blue Jays at Marquette on November 2nd. Then they would clinch a spot in the Big East tournament. So it's looking very favorable that the men are going to make the Big East tournament. And, of course, the Big East is absolutely loaded. The other division that Creighton is in, the other division is really stacked with a lot of teams with, all the points are like 15, 14, very close to one another. So it's going to be a very exciting, competitive Big East soccer tournament. The women, for the first time ever, are in the Big East soccer tournament. And not only that, they're hosting a game. They're guaranteed to host a game. They went 2-2 draw with Butler in their home finale, and they will host go to St. John's on Halloween to finish up the season, and then they will be hosting a first round game in the Big East soccer tournament, which is extremely exciting. And before we talk a little bit about volleyball and a little bit about Coach Booth, we want to jump over and talk about West Pacific Dental Group. They've been a longtime sponsor of Bluejay Banter. We appreciate Dr. Hogan and his entire staff. They're my dentists. They do a great job, and they have a friendly, experienced staff that'll make sure you feel comfortable and well-informed. They have personalized dental treatments provided to all their patients with the care they need to get their dental health on track. You'll leave their office well-informed and confident that your dental health is in good hands. So give me a call, 402-697-0765. That's 402-697-0765. Volleyball, as we said, just keeps on rolling, and we're going to have that, as I said, that conversation with Coach Booth a little bit later. They just rolled over the weekend. Another sweep, and now 2 matches coming up. The schedule flips. Now they play 5 of their last 8 at home. So they've been on the road a lot. So Friday, 6 p.m., they play St. John's, and then also Sunday at 1 p.m., they play Villanova. Both matches will be on Nebraska Public TV, which is awesome.
Nice. So
the whole state will get a chance and listen to our interview here in a little bit, because Coach Booth talks about that and how important it is, and how, everybody in Omaha knows about him. Some people in Lincoln know about him. But then the further west you get, the less people know about Creighton volleyball. And she wants to just keep expanding that, obviously, and grow the program. Much like basketball. Basketball was the same way. It was Omaha's team, and maybe some people in Lincoln knew them just because we played Nebraska once a year, and then it was nothing. And now it's spread statewide. So should be very exciting. That's the volleyball. 2 matches, St. John's and Villanova, coming up this weekend. And if you can't go, you can watch them on Nebraska Public TV, just where the game was the other night, that was great.
Yeah.
That they carried that game, and what a great crowd. Then we want to talk about Care Minders Home Health Care. CareMindersNebraska.com. Go there. You will find all that you need to know about Care Minders Home Health Care. And when the time comes that you need care for your injured, ill, or senior loved one, you'll be ready to go and ready to give them a call, because you'll know exactly what they do. They've highly, highly regarded in the area. Their agency is comprised of certified caregivers who have many years of experience to receive versatile, flexible, and customized care for your comfort, peace of mind, and well-being. So caremindersnebraska.com, also 402-532-1383, and you can head on. And they are sponsoring our segment right now. Dumb basketball questions that we've had a few starting out. It's been kind of slow, but today we got an influx of them. So the first question, and we're going to go right to the Ty Davis one. The question was on Ty Davis. You know, how did you think he did? He looked, the person that put in the question said it looked pretty comfortable to me. And this ties in with, I'm going to kind of hit two questions at once, because this ties in kind of with a question John sent in of, besides Pop and Steven, who's going to be the primary ball handlers for this team? Mm-hmm. So first of all, let's get to the Ty part of it, because he kind of fits in with the second part. But I thought he looked, the lights weren't too bright for him. I thought he looked in. He did get sped up a little bit at times. He did turn it over on a couple of pieces of, on a couple of times when they put pressure on him. And I think it was Cox both times, the freshman for Purdue, who's very highly regarded as a really good defensive player, took the ball away from him. But he had some nice moves. He had some nice passes. He had a lob to Fred at one point. Really seemed to be, you know, well, you wouldn't have known he was a freshman. Let's just put that way.
And that seems to sort of match up from what we've kind of heard, and you've probably seen and practiced a little bit. I mean, it has sounded like he is pretty mature in his game as a freshman already, and has a bright future. So I'm not totally shocked to hear that.
Yeah, no, even Coach Mack said after the game, they're going to have to make some tough choices. They're going to have to figure out, okay, is Ty Davis going to get enough playing time to make it worth our while for him not to redshirt this year? Or are we just wasting a year because he's going to get 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is? So I think that
probably depends on if he wants to redshirt.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of, you know, there's so much more, you know, consultation with the player about the redshirt option than there used to be. I mean, 10, 15, 20 years ago, it used to be, this is what's happening, we're redshirting you. And it's just much more collaborative now. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if Ty's interested in that.
And when I talked to Ty at Media Day, he when I asked him, you know, the plan, and you could kind of tell that was somewhat in his radar, though, because he said, oh, and then after these, you know, first two, we'll sit down with the coaches and with my mom and dad, and we'll figure out what we want to do. So obviously he would be as – what I didn't mention, though, to you, Ross, was two guys, Sterling Knox got run.
Okay. How did he look?
Yeah, good. So, you know, we just played so many people, and like like Val and I were talking earlier, we were up like 12, and then basically Mac took out, I think Ashworth was still on the floor, and maybe Jason and maybe Pop, but everybody else, he just had subs in there, and Purdue had their first string in, so they kind of made a little run. But to Mac's credit, he's like, hey, I'm going to let these guys figure it out, and they did figure it out. So.
Yeah, good.
But I think that Jemiah showed he can bring the ball up. Now, one time he made a great move, and then felt like he had to put up a shot.
Yeah,
he put up a bad shot. But that's kind of what
that happens.
You'll get with Jemiah a little bit, but for the most part, he just played really well. So he's another guy that can bring it up. There was times Jason took it up the floor. I thought his ball handling just in the half court was so much improved over last year.
Looked much more comfortable.
Yes, very much so. But that is a good point. And I think, again, the X factor here is Fedor. Like, when is he going to be eligible?
Yep.
That's the problem. Now, you were already gone, so I didn't get a chance to mention this to you, but Fedor re-injured that ankle.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
And on practice on Friday, and let me tell you, it was bad. He could not play in this game anyway because of NCAA rules.
Okay.
But even if he would not have played. So we haven't heard from the NCAA yet. And, frankly, if they say he can't play for 5 games, that's probably okay because let's get his ankle healthy.
Yeah, sure.
Get him on the floor.
Let's just get him eligible, too.
The sad part was where he fell on a guy's foot again on that same ankle. he came around the screen, did a step back three, and it was so sweet. I mean, it was like, I was like, oh wow, and then all of a sudden you heard him yell in pain, you know. And
Yeah, that's too bad.
so hopefully he'll get well soon. But I would say that's our options as far as, you know, ball handling. The question's going to be on Ty. You know, you start adding up the numbers. It would be different if Fedor was eligible and ready to go. Then it might be an easier decision. But I don't know. You know, we may need Ty.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that might play a big part of it. Is
you know,
Fedor's
especially if we have an injury.
Sure.
To one of the guys, knock on wood.
Yep.
But so great question there. Then we got a question from Lori. She said, is there really an over the back in basketball? Is that really a thing for a foul? And I think what she was trying to say there was,
what do you mean, is that really a thing?
Well, here's my point where I think she was going with that was, you know, she probably has heard people say over the back, and then she's probably like, well, I don't see a lot of calls. You can disagree with me if you want. I don't see nearly the volume of over-the-back calls in the last 10 years that there used to be.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree.
Now, is it just that guys are just so much more athletic in the post that they're going vertical rather than over? I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. It is a little bit interesting that we don't see it called near as much, and I don't know what the reasoning would be for that. I don't know. I don't know if they've made just collective changes as a kind of a collective of refs and just said, hey, this is something that we don't want to call as much of. You know, you could probably call it a lot, quite honestly. I mean, it's guys, you know, especially teams, really good offensive rebounding teams like the Houstons of the world and whatnot. Right. I mean, you could those guys are pretty darn physical and going after offensive rebounds.
And they do go over. Yeah, that's a great example, Ross, because I've seen them. Now, when you mention that, yeah, they're a team that really pushes the envelope. Yeah. And I think because they're not calling it, until they blow the whistle.
There's that school of thought. I mean, I think Iowa State kind of, even in that realm as far as defensively and just being physical, like Houston and Iowa State are good examples in the fact that they just get in you physically, defensively, and they basically say, listen, what are they going to do? Call a foul every single possession down? Like, we'll take our chances that they're just going to kind of let some of these things go because they can't call a foul every single possession.
Right.
It's sort of an interesting, philosophy, but it seems to work for them.
Yeah, and look, Ross and I watch a lot of college basketball, not just Creighton games, because I know some of you are out there going, well, wait a minute, you got Kalkbrenner, you're not going to get many over the backs with him, and I get that, but it just seems in college basketball that it's not called much anymore. I mean, you used to see automatically 2 a game anyway,
right.
2, 3 a game, and now, boy, it's rare. You see it, when I see it now, is if you get a backup 5 in the game, and he's maybe going against a starter, and we're talking high-level teams here, and he's getting a little bit frustrated and tired, and then he reaches.
Yeah.
And that's where you'll see it called.
Yep.
But hey, good question, Laurie, because you're right. It hasn't been called as much lately. And that segment is sponsored by Infusion Brewing Company. They have the Side-Eye Malt Milk Ball Stout, and of course, it's that season, so you got the pumpkin vanilla bean and tons more beers. So head on down to their location on South 118th Street, just off the interstate there, to where their factory and brewing location is. They've got an outstanding tasting room that you will love. They can get you a flight of different beers that you can taste. They've got all the product there for you to purchase. It is outstanding. They've got a party room you can rent out. So it's a great location to go have fun here during these fall days if we ever get some cool weather. I think it's coming, but...
Yeah, sounds like maybe some storms on Wednesday, maybe kind of a cool day on Thursday.
Felt very like June today. Like it felt humid
yeah,
really weird.
Yep.
But at any rate, a terrific sponsor for us. And, of course, they're the home of Let It Fly beer served right here at the Let It Fly Sports Bar. Give them a call, 402-934-2064, Infusion Brewing Company, and they will help you out and let you know everything they carry. And also, you go on their website, and you can see all the new beers that they're currently carrying. Trying to think if there's any other thoughts on the game. Not really. I mean, you may wonder about Larry Johnson. He's kind of got a knee thing, and it sounds like he's going to redshirt.
Okay.
So, Mac mentioned that after the game.
Well, it's coming around the corner here.
Yeah, so we've got a week from Wednesday is the opening tip against University of Texas Rio Grande Valley.
Yep.
I was telling Austin Chapman, who's a new member of our team, who helps us out in some post games and did the post game the other night. I was telling him, if I remember correctly, because they played us one year, and then I've seen them other times. They have they usually have sweet looking uniforms.
Yeah, they used to be called UT Pan American.
Yes,
and
yes.
They must have changed a number of years back.
Who was the old
kind of
legendary coach that coached at UT Pan American? He was a funny guy. I can't remember his name. Way back in the day. Yeah, he was at UT Pan American of all places, but he was a legend. Tex Winners.
Tex Winners, okay.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, they'll hit us here on Wednesday, and then the following Sunday, I think it's November 10th, if I remember. It is November 9th. It is Fairleigh Dickinson, FDU.
Yeah,
and that's a 4:00 tip.
Yep, Sunday, 4 p.m.
So we get those early NFL games out of the way and then go watch basketball. Here we go. All right. Hey, we're going to let you go, but we want you to hang around because right after we say goodbye here, you're going to see the interview I did earlier with Coach Booth, and you're really going to want to see it because she talks a lot about how she's handling this 17-2 team and the expectations and everything, and I think it's well worth your listen. So thanks a lot. The next time we'll see you is a week from today where we'll get you set up for the home opener against UTRGV. Thanks, everybody.
All right, so good to catch up with head volleyball coach Kirsten Bernthal Booth. Hi, Coach. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
I would think you're doing very well. Before we get into a lot what's been going on in the court and so forth, I got to share with you. I want to get a response with you on this. So a couple of weeks ago, I was at the Creighton women's basketball media portion of the day, and I just happened to overhear Flan doing an interview with TV, and he was talking about how, because I think the crux of the question was, you've got a very veteran group, you're kind of building toward this year, and he goes, I've had an office next to Booth for over 20 years. And she's got kind of the same team as me, this, a real team that's really doing well. Obviously, they're doing well. And so he goes, I've really been watching her, watching how, I don't know, there's two ways I could go, hey, they're all veteran, just let them go, or be even more drilled down focused. And he goes, I've been watching her, and he goes, I've just noticed little things like she's more focused, more intense. I don't get as many little chit chats with her as I normally do. Not that she's unfriendly, just she's more focused. Do you feel like you're drilling down, being more focused, maybe more and more attention to detail, even though you probably know with the group you have, they've gone over these things a million times?
I would say my focus has been trying to think bigger picture of, this balance of staying in the moment, which is where I spend a lot of my time historically. I got to lock in for Friday night. I got to lock in for Sunday. I always make the joke that as a coach, we live in a state of paranoia all the time, right? And so sometimes I get too in the weeds on as far as we got to just spend almost all of our prep on the upcoming weekend. And I've tried to think a little bigger picture of, we have to find the balance of prepping for the weekend, but we also need to find a balance of prepping for a top 5 team in the country. And what do we need to do in the gym to be ready for a block that's bigger, or serves that are tougher, or defenses that don't let balls drop, so that's where I think I've spent I've spent a lot of time with our staff of trying to brainstorm those sort of questions and how do we attack it that way.
Well, that's an interesting answer. What I would say you're doing very well as far as keeping them in the moment, because obviously you've dropped one set so far through the Big East season, and you guys are rolling. And I mean, it's been incredible. And I was going to ask you, about that. What your focus? But obviously, you feel like with this group, I think it probably helps too, right? They're veteran and they've been through this before, and they know, hey, we can go to St. John's and get beat, right?
Absolutely. I think that's the thing is we have a veteran group that understand any given night you can lose a match. So as much as we can continue to develop for the long term, we spend a lot of time saying it's not about the opposing team, it's about us. Like, how are we getting better? How are we playing? How are we preparing? I will say the energy in the gym has been really consistent all season long. Sometimes it can wane about this time of year. It's getting long. You can't see the end of the tunnel at all. Maybe kids aren't happy with their roles. You've got all these different factors that can create a dynamic that maybe isn't as high level as it was a month earlier. And I haven't seen that from this group, which I think is pretty remarkable. And I think it is a testament to not necessarily the senior leadership of the players that a lot of the people ask about, but maybe those senior leaders like Abby Milner and Emma Ziegler, Katie Mazer, those players that are seniors that aren't on the court very much, and the leadership that they show every day to come in and work their tail off and be positive and lean into what we're doing as a team. They are the hidden MVPs, I think, of this team.
Well, I heard head coach of the Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, the other day, was one of the best teams at Go. They asked him about his opponents. He said, our opponents every week are nameless and faceless. It's all about us, So that's kind of a good way to look at it. Yep. Hey, a fantastic weekend again. Why just recap the weekend a little bit?
Yeah, we started at Georgetown. I thought in the first game played one of the worst games we've played all year. To be honest, I thought we started okay, and then they got 3 aces, and it permeated us for about 20 points. Like, you could just see us being more rattled than I thought we'd been all year. I think one of the really big strengths of this group is someone can do something really well against us and we don't get rattled. We are true to who we are pretty consistently. And it was one of the first times I thought it affected our game. And so, like, our serving got passive, our tempo got slower, our approaches got slower. And so I think that's good. I mean, as much as you don't like to see that happen, it was good to kind of address the elephant in the room and talk about how we're not going to allow that to happen. And I thought Seton Hall was a pretty dang good team on Saturday night after playing Georgetown. And we played really clean that night. And, they just dug everything. It wasn't that their offense was all that potent, but they just dug everything. And then, they'd get some points. And I just thought we stayed really calm and really stayed true to who we were during that match.
Yeah, I watched a good chunk of that match. And you guys look phenomenal. And speaking of phenomenal, so I mean, it's easy to go, when you go to a match, watch on TV, it's easy to get caught up in the brilliance of system and weight, right? But there's always a player who every time I watch a match, I at least go wow once, and that's Ava Martin. I mean, talk about her journey, like throughout the years that she's come to Creighton and now this year.
Yeah, Ava's a stud. I mean, I think one of the things that makes us potent is we have 2 really, really high caliber left side hitters between Nora and Ava, and we can put them wherever, we can move them around. Most teams kind of have someone set in each spot. We're comfortable switching them. So if we have a matchup or one's better, doing something that night that we want to have a different pairing, we can move them around, which is not overly typical for most teams. Ava, came in and didn't start her first maybe month of the season. We tried to put her on the right side, and she was tearing things up in practice, and then earned an outside role. When Ava's opportunity really came was last year when Nora got her ab injury. We moved her to a 6 rotation player, and she hasn't been off the court since. She really stepped up into that really monstrous role of having to pass, play defense, and be an outside hitter. And that is a hard role to be able to play 6 rotations. And Ava's doing it very, very well, both defensively, attacking from the back row. And then the other piece of her game, and she and Nora actually are both leading. I think they're 1 and 2 in the league right now in aces. They're both really outstanding servers, which is really, can sometimes get missed, I think, from a fan standpoint. But a really good serve is really important to have in all 6 rotations.
Speaking of serving, that's the best thing you taught me about volleyball was when your program was growing up, you're like, look, I know the fans get upset when they miss serves once in a while, but here's what we're trying to do. And so now I'm always turning people go, no, it's okay.
It's okay, right? It's not a free throw. It's not a free throw. Yes.
See that serve right there? That's why we won that point. Okay.
It's a tactical weapon. Absolutely.
You were talking about, the grind and so forth. At least now you can say, okay, we're at the halfway pole there. Now we can move on to the end of the season. And now the schedule kind of flips for you too. You got 5 of the last 8 at home. Starting off with 3 in a row here. St. John's on Friday at 6, and then Nova on Sunday at 1. Kind of cool, both matches on statewide on Nebraska, so that's awesome. Mm-hmm. What about the rematch with these 2 teams?
Yeah, St. John's always comes here and plays well. Some teams come to our gym and just don't play well, and St. John's, I think, really leans into it. They're a foreign-laden team. They return almost all their players from last year. They have a player in Erin Jones who was one of the candidates for preseason player of the year. She'll probably get a nomination for that this year. So they've got some really good key cogs. We played a really tight game with them in Queens last year, or this, a couple weeks ago, I guess. It wasn't last year.
It was like a year ago.
And so this is a very good team that is a little bit up and down, is what I would say. And we generally get their up. So we need to be ready to go against them. And then Villanova has been, I wouldn't say one of the surprises, but maybe a little bit of a surprise of the year. I don't remember where they were picked, but they're doing better than they were picked. They're a young team that runs really fast tempo, that scrappy. I mean, when they get their mojo, they're really, really good. And so we need to make sure they don't get their mojo, because they've upset some people when they're feeling good about what they're doing.
How valuable is it to have it statewide, 2 matches in a row?
Yeah, I mean, I think the great thing is volleyball is getting more coverage, right? That's nationally. I mean, Nebraska Public Media has done a great job showcasing volleyball way before it was the trend to showcase volleyball. So we love getting that opportunity. I think, people know of us in Omaha, maybe in Lincoln a little bit, not as much as I'd like, and especially not in Western Nebraska. And we want little girls to dream of being a Creighton Bluejay, and being on Nebraska Public Media gives us that chance to kind of showcase what we're doing here in Omaha.
So 600 career wins.
It's an old person.
Every coach I've ever had that I've covered that's hit some milestone, that's exactly what they say. Exactly what Max said a year or so ago when he hit a milestone. I know you're in the middle of the season, but you had to have thought back to when you started coaching. Like, I'm sure the first couple of matches, you're just like, I've got to win these to kind of show people I know what the hell I'm doing, right?
I didn't even know I was approaching 600, Tim. I mean, I think Rob had told Brian, and so Brian said something in the locker room afterwards. So, you're right. I don't do a lot of reflecting during season. I will say, each team is special. Each journey is special. Those wins are a testament of some amazing women that I've gotten to work with, amazing staff. I mean, it's definitely not something that I for sure have ever done unilaterally. As you know, I have such an amazing staff over the years, a variety of different people. So, but yeah, I guess when you do something this long, things like this happen. So I still think age is the real indicator of this.
Well, I guess coaching is unique in that respect, because if you're not winning, you're probably not going to coach that long, right?
Yeah, you're out of a job, right?
So wins, you get ice cream. What did you get? A triple scoop after 600 wins? I mean, how does that work?
No. Yeah. That was about it. I will say the next day was Angie's birthday. So we spent a lot of time celebrating our associate head coach, Angie. And so we got ice cream. I think I got the 600th on Friday, and her birthday was Saturday. So we celebrated with ice cream on Saturday night for her birthday.
So with not only your tremendous ranking, but being in the top 4, I think, of the RPI, I mean, you've got to really look at long-term here too, a chance to be one of the top seeds here in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I think we have to control what we control. The committee came out and had a top 16. We were 6th in that ranking. We were a little disappointed in that. We thought we could be anywhere from 4 to 6. So for us to jump into that top 4, which is really a big deal, because the top 16 have the opportunity to host the first weekend. And then the next weekend, the top 4 have an opportunity to host. Now, if someone gets upset, it trickles down.
Sure.
So we sure would love that opportunity. But we have to control what we can control. And that is, we need to continue to get better. We need to win first and foremost. We need to win decisively. And then, whatever comes our way, we need to be ready for it.
Well, none of that. I mean, when you get in the NCAA tournament, the higher you are, quote unquote, the easier the path will be, right? I mean, instead of playing number 62, you could, if you're down a ways, you're playing number 40, and then the next match you're probably even Steve, it rolls on downhill.
Well, kind of. Volleyball's not it's not 1 plays 64, 2 plays 63, because we have some cost parameters then. So there is some of that. So we do want to. So if we're 1 through 8, we should play at least a bottom 16
Right.
team. Then it's based on, it's based on a proximity, which is different than basketball. So we'd like to get that changed. I mean, our goal long term is that we are going a straight bracket. 1 plays 64, 2 plays 63. And the way that's going to happen is money. And, we're trending in the direction of making more money. TV is going to drive that. But that's, I hope in 10 years, 5 years that we're a straight up bracket.
Well, it seems to be trending that way, but even so, I mean, the group of 8, the group of 16, I mean, they're probably not a lot of difference versus the next group of 16,
I think the great thing about volleyball right now is similar to men's basketball. I don't think women's basketball is quite here, is the parity right now is the best it's ever been. So we know that, when we're in that NCAA tournament, any team we are playing in any round could beat us. Which is a great thing for our sport. I mean, we see that with those Cinderella stories in men's basketball. You see those upsets every year. I think you're going to see more and more of that in volleyball. We hope we're not the person getting upset, but I think it is great for the sport that there's some better competition early in those rounds.
Well, I know you stayed laser focused on what's ahead of you, but I mean, it's hard not to peek ahead to that match a couple Sundays from now on national TV against Marquette.
Yeah, Marquette is a fantastic team. We're excited to be on FS1 again. I think our players love they love playing great teams. I mean, even like Seton Hall this weekend, that they were just digging. They were like, that was so much fun. I mean, the points just continued. So I think we are excited to go to, we lost to Marquette at Marquette last year. And so we're excited for the opportunity to play them. But you're right. I'm focused on this weekend first.
All right, well, get your work done. Go and enjoy the beautiful evening. I mean, it feels like June instead of late. It's kind of humid out. It's kind of like
it looks gorgeous from inside. Yes.
Fortunately, the wind's blowing and taking away some of our beautiful color here today. But hey, congrats! It's been an awesome season. Congrats on the 600 wins, even if you don't want to hear it.
Well, I appreciate it.
We'll be looking forward to talking to you in the future. Thanks, Coach.
Sounds good. Thanks.